Thank you, Dr. Park. I'm delighted to introduce our speaker this evening, Mr. Raj Rana. It has been widely reported by his peers and professors that Raj is an extremely dynamic, outgoing individual who works tirelessly towards his goals, particularly those that involve motivating and supporting his friends and colleagues. For example, since returning to Chico State in 2010 to pursue an MBA, Raj co-founded the SAP Software Club on campus. He helped to resurrect the Graduate Business Association and served as its president. And in his free time, he has tutored many students in SAP and English, taken international students on field trips to the park and art galleries around Chico, and has helped dozens of students to develop business plans and resumes. His reputation as a student in the know about other students has garnered the attention of recruiters who often contact Raj for recommendations for new hires. Clearly, Raj is an individual who finds his deepest success when he helps others to fulfill their goals at the same time he is pursuing his own. Those who know him well report that he is an intense but funny and empathetic young man who has great compassion and appreciation for his family, his friends, his community, and this university. We see these qualities reflected in Raj's own choice of role models. When asked what 3 people in history he would invite to his dinner table, Raj said this: "I would pick Mary Harris Jones, Mother Jones, for her passion and drive to succeed among insurmountable odds and personal tragedy. The Dalai Lama for his insight and inner balance, and Einstein for his vision and imagination." After hearing Raj's talk here tonight, it will become clear to you that the characteristics he admires in these famous individuals are the same ones he sees in his own parents, and that are clearly reflected in this fine young man. I can think of no finer choice to be our graduate student speaker this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Raj Rana.
I have such a hard time with goodbyes. In fact, I didn't want to come here tonight. I've skipped several events because I found them too emotionally taxing. How do you say goodbye to a group of people who you've bonded with over a few years with a smile on your face? Well, the reason I have a smile on my face tonight, as many of you know, there's nothing more I love than hearing myself talk. In all seriousness, I simply didn't want to say goodbye to a group of people who convinced me that the future is so bright and who remind me of my own family. The reason I have so much energy around you is because your ideas and your individuality are undeniably great. I came back to school after 10 years in the professional world. As a manager and consultant, I had become unknowingly callous and pessimistic. And then I encountered many of you, and young graduates and experienced professionals alike. I was amazed. I found so many of you were willing to put your needs behind those of others. And I found hope. And for that, I can't thank you enough. That being said, we have our challenges laid out before us in this age of information overload. You'll need all of your great ideas to navigate, and your future is dynamically shaped by the nanosecond. There's so much information coming at you from the internet, television, talk radio, your friends. It's difficult to discern what's going on. By the time you've read one expert opinion, there's 4 more trying to knock it down on the internet. It's an incredibly confusing existence, and it's a miracle if you can remember where you parked your car, let alone what Dr. Oz wants you to eat for dinner. Luckily for all of you, I'm here to clarify everything. So how do you navigate life when you're bombarded with so many choices? How can you possibly make sense of it all? It's actually quite simple. You decide what things are most important to you, and you keep them close to your heart. Speaking of important things in your life, your family and friends must be very proud of all of you. In fact, my own parents are here tonight, and they had no idea I'd be up here. Surprise. And they were pretty sure they'd endured one of my last rants, even though they know how much I love to talk. But this time, you guys don't have a glass of wine to make it a little more tolerable. My family has had to navigate through this confusing and ever-changing world as well. There came a time when information overload wasn't an issue, and in fact, quite the opposite. A lack of information and education often coincides with war. In fact, my parents came from a war-torn country. You see, they endured what many of us should never ever have to see, a very violent civil war between India and Pakistan. They saw death, they saw family members lost, and worst of all, they saw it at a very young and impressionable age. My mother had gone through the tremendous shock of losing her own promising future and friends and 2 siblings. My own grandfather was forced to hide in a tree while mobs searched for him below. My grandmother took the children she could save under the cover of night, hopefully trying to find a safe haven. The peaceful life my mother had known was forcefully ripped away. My father as well had his world radically changed. Instead of going to college in India, his future was altered as opportunities and national borders were redrawn. Those he used to go to school with and play sports with were now on the other side. He was forbidden to look their way, and they the same to him. Anyone who dared to test these unspoken rules was dealt with in the harshest of manners, and there's no exceptions. How does a young person maintain their sanity in such an existence? He left India to rebuild his life, but joined the United States Navy in the mid-1950s, serving aboard the USS John Hancock. While he saved money for the next few years, my mother finished her schooling in India until he was able to bring her over. My father began to work on farms, sometimes living in tents, traveling the valley up and down, migrating, saving money as he could. My mother cleaned houses day and night, trying to find a future, one that she was afraid that she could be lost so quickly as the last one was. It was a complete change of existence for both of them, and their families were both before the war, were well off and successful. But as many of international students know, better than I, war can redefine your life in a second. One moment your path to success is set, the next your family has everything taken. The stress, tribulations, and trials they went through should never be forced on any child or adult. Yet they were able to have my 2 sisters during these hardships, who my mother and father tell me almost daily are their greatest achievements. That wasn't supposed to be funny, but I didn't know how it would come off. My parents marvel to this day how my sisters put up with the way the stress and emotional events taxed their childhood. In a way, too, they were born of war. Then life began to turn around for my family. While working odd jobs, my mother did the unthinkable. She earned her undergraduate degree, and then she took it to a whole other level by getting her master's degree in a foreign language to her, English, right here at California State University, Chico. In fact, if you venture to Merriam Library, you can find my mother's thesis, which stood the test of time and provided many international students with the means to integrate into the beautiful country we call the United States of America. She and my father understand the phrase, united we stand, divided we fall, at an all too personal level. Earlier tonight, I suggested you all find the things you hold dearest to your heart close and never lose sight of them. I hope that the education you've been blessed with is one of those things. For education is our only salvation from the evils of war, and is truly our best hope to become civilized. In closing, I would like to mention my parents are celebrating their 50th year of marriage. Thank you all for rebuilding my hope, and I really mean that. You really all have. And please join me in congratulating my parents for the example they've set in life, survival, and marriage, as well as yourselves. Thank you.